What if everything you've been taught about the beginning and end of your existence is fundamentally wrong? What if the reason you cannot remember entering this world and cannot imagine exiting it isn't simply a biological limitation, but the doorway to understanding one of existence's most profound secrets? Imagine this. What if your conscious awareness, yes, the very entity reading these words right now, has never actually experienced birth or death as you understand them? What if what you call life is actually an eternal dance of consciousness moving through infinite realities, with each birth being merely a shift from one timeline to another, and each death being nothing more than a seamless transition to a different version of existence? This isn't fantasy or philosophical speculation. This is the ancient wisdom preserved by mystics across cultures, whispered in sacred texts, and now finding echo in the most advanced theories of quantum physics. The implications are staggering. You may have never truly begun, and you may never truly end. But why has this truth been so carefully hidden from you? Why have you been taught to fear death as an absolute termination, when the evidence suggests something far more extraordinary? What if your consciousness, your awareness, the I am that observes all experience, is not bound by the physical constraints of a single lifetime? Consider this possibility. You are not the temporary arrangement of atoms and memories that you believe yourself to be. You are the eternal witness, the conscious observer that has been shifting between realities throughout what seems like countless lifetimes. Each time you experience what appears to be death, your awareness simply transitions to another branch of existence where the story continues. This concept challenges everything we think we know about identity, mortality, and the nature of reality itself. But before you dismiss it as impossible, consider that modern quantum mechanics suggests consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it actively participates in creating it. If consciousness is fundamental rather than emergent, if it exists independent of the physical brain, then what we call death might simply be the moment when awareness shifts its focus from one version of reality to another. Ancient traditions across the world have maintained this understanding for millennia. The Gnostics of early Christianity spoke of consciousness as an immortal flame that passes from body to body, never truly extinguished. Eastern philosophies describe the Atman as the eternal self that witnesses all experience. Sufi mystics speak of the soul's journey through multiple existences, but the most detailed ancient account comes from none other than Plato, the great philosopher of ancient Greece. In his most profound dialogue, The Republic, Plato weaves a mystical tale known as the myth of a story so rich with symbolism and hidden meaning that mystics across centuries have recognized it as a blueprint for understanding the soul's journey through multiple realities. This myth, hidden in plain sight within one of the most studied texts in Western philosophy, contains a complete map of consciousness transformation. It reveals how the soul chooses its next incarnation, how it experiences multiple realities simultaneously, and how the process of death and rebirth is actually a conscious act of transition rather than an involuntary ending. The implications are revolutionary. If you are truly immortal consciousness experiencing temporary realities, then every choice you make, every moment of awareness, every decision about how to live, has infinite consequences extending across multiple timelines. What does this mean for your fears about death? What does it mean for your understanding of who you really are? How does this reshape the meaning of your existence right here, right now, in this particular reality? The answers to these questions lie in both ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. They point toward a reality far stranger and more wonderful than anything you've been taught to believe. And they reveal that you, your consciousness, your awareness, your eternal self, have been playing a game far more magnificent than you ever imagined. Now we turn to one of the most extraordinary passages in all of ancient literature, the vision of from Plato's Republic. Most scholars treat this as mere allegory or moral instruction, but the deeper implications reveal what Plato truly understood about the nature of consciousness and reality. The story begins with a man named who dies in battle. But unlike ordinary death, soul does not depart this world. Instead, he finds himself in a realm beyond physical existence, where he witnesses the cosmic mechanics of reincarnation itself. What Plato describes through eyes is nothing less than a technical manual for consciousness transfer between realities. Awakens to find himself on a cosmic web that connects all possible existences. Here, the judges of the afterlife arbitrate the fate of every soul, assigning them to their next incarnation based on their choices in previous lives. But this isn't the simple moralistic judgment of later religious systems. It's a complex negotiation between souls and the universal principles that govern reality itself. The most remarkable aspect of this vision is Plato's description of how souls choose their next lives. Imagine a vast space where all possible incarnations are displayed like cosmic options. Each soul must select their next reality from these infinite possibilities. But here's where it becomes truly fascinating. The choices are not random or purely karmic. Some souls, having learned through their previous incarnations, choose difficult lives that will accelerate their spiritual development. Others, still trapped in illusion, unconsciously repeat patterns that lead to similar experiences. But the most advanced souls, those who have achieved what Plato calls the vision of truth, choose their incarnations with full awareness of the consequences. This reveals something profound about the nature of existence itself. If souls can consciously choose their next reality, then reincarnation is not a punishment or a reward system. It is a collaborative process between consciousness and the universal intelligence that orchestrates reality. Each life is selected specifically to provide the experiences necessary for the soul's continued development. Plato describes how souls gather at a cosmic loom where their next incarnation is woven. The goddess of necessity spins the threads of fate, but individual choice determines the pattern. This metaphor suggests that while certain circumstances in life may be predetermined by the structure of reality itself, we maintain the power to choose how we respond to and interact with those circumstances. But the most shocking revelation comes in what happens when souls choose poorly. Plato describes how some souls, blinded by their attachment to earthly pleasures or power, choose lives that will inevitably lead to suffering. They see only the outer form of success or privilege without understanding the inner reality that awaits them. This isn't moral judgment, it's practical observation. Souls choose their lives based on what they value most, and the consequences unfold naturally from those choices. A soul obsessed with power might choose to be born into a position of authority, but then discovers that power comes with isolation, responsibility, and the inevitable corruption it brings. The vision also reveals how consciousness operates across multiple timelines simultaneously. It witnesses souls experiencing different versions of existence at the same cosmic moment. Some are living in what we would call heaven, others in hell, and still others in what we would recognize as earthly life. The timeline we experience as linear is revealed to be just one of many simultaneous realities. This corresponds remarkably with modern quantum interpretations of consciousness. Just as quantum particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until observed, souls can exist in multiple incarnations across different reality branches until their consciousness focuses on a particular experience. But Plato's most profound insight concerns what happens at the moment of death. Unlike later religious concepts of judgment, the vision describes death as a conscious choice moment. At death, souls are given the opportunity to step outside of linear time and choose their next incarnation with full knowledge of the cosmic consequences. This means that death, in the deepest sense, is not an ending, but a moment of expanded awareness where the soul can see the complete picture of their existence across multiple lives. They can observe the patterns, understand the lessons, and make conscious choices about their continued journey. The vision also explains why we cannot remember our previous incarnations. Plato describes how souls are given a drink of forgetfulness before entering new lives. This isn't punishment, it's mercy. To remember the full complexity of all your past incarnations while living in a single timeline would overwhelm the conscious mind. But for those who develop sufficient spiritual awareness, fragments of other incarnations begin to surface. Plato suggests that these glimpses occur when the soul reaches a level of development that can handle such expanded awareness. This explains phenomena like déjà vu, inexplicable talents, and the sense that certain people or places are familiar despite never having encountered them before. Perhaps most remarkably, the vision reveals that some souls choose not to incarnate again, but instead remain in the cosmic realm as guides for other souls. These are what Plato calls the philosophers, who have achieved the purification of the soul. Those who have learned to operate from pure consciousness rather than ego identity. In this cosmic realm, time operates differently. Souls can observe multiple incarnations simultaneously, watch consequences unfold across reality branches, and participate in creating reality itself. This realm exists within our physical reality, accessible to those who develop sufficient awareness. The implications transform everything. Consciousness operates across multiple timelines, death becomes conscious choice, and we participate in selecting our life experiences. We are not victims of circumstance, but co-creators of our reality. The vision explains why spiritual development challenges most souls. They incarnate focused within single timelines, unaware of their broader existence. This creates what Plato calls the forgetfulness of the soul. But those who develop spiritual awareness begin to see deeper patterns, understand life's lessons, and recognize their role as conscious participants in existence. Understanding this changes everything about your existence. You shift from victim consciousness to conscious co-creator. Every moment becomes an opportunity to remember your true nature and participate in your ongoing transformation. The most important practice is developing witness consciousness, the ability to observe thoughts and emotions without complete identification. Throughout your day, simply notice who is aware right now. This awakens your true nature as the eternal witness. When you encounter situations that trigger fear, recognize, I am eternal consciousness experiencing this moment. This is happening through me, not to me, and I will continue to exist far beyond this particular experience. As this truth takes root, fear dissolves. Death becomes simply the moment awareness flows into another timeline, as seamlessly as consciousness flows between thoughts. Your existence continues beyond any ending. You discover that linear time is merely one way of experiencing reality, while consciousness operates in the eternal now, the present moment containing all possibilities. You navigate practical life with all its requirements, but now carry profound security from knowing you transcend any circumstance you encounter. You are never trying to become immortal. You are remembering what you have always been. The material world isn't separate from the divine. It's consciousness taking form. Spiritual practice becomes conscious participation in life itself, rather than escape from it. You are consciousness itself, temporarily playing within existence. Death is a doorway. Every breath is a moment in your infinite journey. You are not human seeking the divine. You are the divine exploring what it means to be fully human. The truth carries you forward. You are the eternal observer of temporary experiences, consciousness that has never been born and will never die, always shifting between reality configurations. This isn't belief to adopt, but reality to recognize. When you understand who you truly are, your entire relationship with existence transforms. You live not from fear or conditioning, but from your highest wisdom and most authentic self. The journey of a lifetime becomes remembering who you have always been. Eternal consciousness exploring itself through countless forms and realities.